fans, I'm Elu from knightsofpower.org, and this is Kooloo, Limpah, my mailbag where I answer your Zelda-related questions and just fangirl a little bit. Today's first question comes from Brendan M, who says, I'm sure you've heard about the whole feminist frequency damsel in distress controversy and how she's criticizing the gaming industry, calling Zelda demeaning to women. Do you have any thoughts on it? Well, I have, as you might imagine, lots of thoughts on it, being that one, I am a female, and two, a gamer. But probably I would say me actually gamer comes before female. And I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want to start like a crazy feminist riot, because I'm not, I'm all for feminism and whatnot, but I'm not one of those crazy feminazis, because it's terrible. Now, for those of you who haven't seen the feminist frequency video, I do recommend that you go and watch it. I mean, I wouldn't take anything she really says as far as her opinion goes. I wouldn't really, I think she's just blah blah blah. But you will actually learn a lot about gaming history by watching her video. So actually watch it for that reason, but pay no mind to her feminist craziness. But I don't mean to, demean her video, because to say that there isn't sexism in video games would be, complete BS, because there's a ton of it, and I mean, anybody can see it. But I don't think that Zelda is one of the games that really focuses on being sexist, or is actually sexist at the core, or any of that, because it isn't, and I'll tell you why. One of the biggest problems I think that lots of gamers and even lots of Zelda fans have is that they don't recognize that Zelda is strong. Most people, including gamers, kind of think of physical strength when it comes to being the hero or being the protagonist or whatever, and that's not always, what's important. Zelda is no less important than Link. And you really pay attention to the story, you will understand why. She goes through a lot, and she goes through a lot just like Link, but she goes through different perils and she has to handle them in different ways. Link has to go on a journey where he has to either gain courage or use the courage that he's given, and he has to do a lot of physical fighting, puzzles, and all that kind of stuff, because, that's what makes the game the game. Zelda, on the other hand, gets captured a lot, but that doesn't make her weak, and it doesn't make her any less important, and it doesn't take away her ability to be a hero. In actuality, she's even been deemed a hero by Aonuma himself in an interview. In that said interview, not only was she named a hero, but Link was named as her knight. So really, they're heroes in different aspects. Most people who are against the whole damsel in distress thing are against it when Zelda is pretty much either captured and becomes seemingly helpless, or is only useful when she's like in disguise, or even in disguise as a male. But the problem with this is that they don't look into these situations deep enough. One of the more popular points of this topic is when Tetra, this feisty pirate, becomes Princess Zelda and no longer fights. She just, hides behind, in a dark, dank cellar. And people think she's useless because of that. Most of the arguments I see around that are like, oh, she seems so tough, but when she becomes a princess, she can no longer fight. That's so sexist. Well, it's not sexist, and you should really love that scene. That scene is so important. Her becoming Princess Zelda and having that happen to her is so important in the core of her character and developing her character. And I'm going to tell you why, because, I have to make people see this, because if you can't see this, you're a terrible, terrible Zelda fan, and I have to fix that. Let's keep in mind that throughout the story, Tetra is a pirate. She's just a feisty little brat, she's a little sea wench, and, she's going around doing her thing, stealing stuff, plundering booty and all that good stuff. For most of the game, she doesn't really know what's going on. She just thinks that she's helping some random little boy who won't leave her alone get his sister, and she just wants to ditch him afterward. Of course, she goes a soft spot for this little boy, but still, he's just a little brat tagging along, and she has more important things to do. Her whole world is just, being a pirate. That's all she knows. And, she's had her fair share of fights. She's fought other pirates, as she's mentioned, and she even attacks Ganon because, he's just this big grown man attacking this little boy she knows. So that's pretty much it. That's really all she kind of knows. But things become a little more complicated. Finally, this guy who they thought was a boat. They thought he was a boat, okay? This boat turns into a man. He's a man, and not only is he a man, he's a king. And not only is he a king, he's a king of a lost kingdom. So there's all that. So that's already strange. Just imagine if, something you sit on every day, like your freaking toilet, all of a sudden was like, yo, by the way, I'm a king. And you're like, what? But anyway, you have that crazy shock, and you already see Link like, He's like, what's going on here? And she's just sitting there like, I don't believe any of this. What happens is, from that point, he then says, oh, you know, by the way, you're Princess Zelda. This is your bloodline. You know that necklace that your mother gave you and told you to protect with your life? Well, here's why she told you to do that. The whole reason, your sole reason for existence is to protect this. And then he turns her into, blam, princess. This is who you really are. So in a moment, her entire world has changed. She has realized like so much more. And this is all being jam-packed into this tiny little 10-year-old brain. She's a child. Like Link, they're children. And so her entire world is smacked right out of her. And so, yeah, that's crazy. So Link goes off on his adventure because he's already been in this for a little while and he knows what's going on. She's staying down there because now she's been told that, yeah, by the way, you're not just a pirate. The whole world is depending on your safety. If you get caught, you know, we're all freaking doomed. So just take a moment to mull that around in your brain a little bit and think about it. And like, be like, so you're told that your whole life is a lie, and if something happens to you, the world goes to crap. I mean, that's it. You're done. Everybody's dead if something happens to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna be freaking out. You're gonna be like, holy crap, what do I do? So she's down there while Link's out adventuring. But that's not the end of the situation for her. This is where it becomes very important. Because now she's given that realization. And while Link's off doing whatever he has to do, she's sitting down there trying to, accept her fate. And she's like, no. Why can't I be Princess and Tetra? Why can't I do both? And that's where it's important, because now she realizes that things, yes, are everything going crazy right now is not necessarily her fault, but is due in part to her, part of in destiny and all this. So she's like, no, I'm not gonna just sit around here. I can't sit around here. I know that things are crazy and I might get hurt, but I have to do what's right. I have to help my friend save the world. We have to destroy this menace together. The only way we can do this is together, and I have to do my part. So that is why that moment is important, because without that moment, she would have just continued being plain old Tetra. But now we know that she is Tetra because she has chosen to be Tetra. She has accepted her fate and decided how she wants to deal with it. And that's why it's important. That is her strength. She may not be, as strong as Link. She is tough, I'll give you that. But she's never in any of the games this physical, fighter person. But that's where they differ, because she is strong on the inside. And so that's where it's kind of like, it's like that for every Zelda game. I mean, in every Zelda game, she's done something extraordinary, and just because she's not fighting doesn't mean that the games are sexist. And for anybody who wants to argue the Sheik incident, I just want to point out that she wasn't tough because she was disguised as a man. She was tough because probably whatever training Impa gave her in the Sheikah ways. She had to be disguised as a boy, otherwise, Ganon would have figured it out. I mean, really, another female Sheikah appears? That's kind of strange. Now, it kind of made more sense for her to go into hiding not only as a different race, but as a different gender. And she didn't get captured just because she transformed into Zelda. She got captured because she let her guard down and showed who she really was, and Ganon saw it. If he knew that she was Zelda while she was in disguise as Sheik, he would have captured her then. But he didn't know because, disguise. And Zelda is always doing something strong, emotionally, mentally, doing something for her kingdom. She is, what keeps everything together. Without her, Hyrule goes to shit, as you've seen, in everything. Once Ganon gets there and gets his hands all up in there, everything is like, blah, terrible, awful, destroyed, Ritas everywhere. So, no, Zelda is just as important as Link. There's no sexism there. People need to stop being feminazis and leave my games alone. If you really want to see sexism in video games, go play Metroid Other M and complain about that, because that right there is just all sorts of sexist terribleness. Okay, short question. Peace Girl 575 or 567100. So many numbers. It says, do you have a Link costume? Of course I have a Link costume. I mean, come on, I'm a Zelda fan. I'm not just a Zelda fan, I'm a Zelda fan, like fanatic. I mean, Seriously. Of course I have a Link costume. I just gotta decide whether I want to wear my Link costume or my Knight of Hyrule costume to Symphony of the Goddesses. I don't know. Good says, the Dark World is in A Link to the Past too. Do you think it will have the same game world as the Light World we've already seen? Probably. I mean, why would they, put the Light World in there and not change it? As far as we know anyway, I'm sure there are little changes, like I said before. They'll probably be the same thing in the Dark World, which I don't think the Dark World should be there because, Link made his wish and things got better. So Dark World will be gone. Wouldn't it be back to being the Golden Land / Sacred Realm now? I mean, wouldn't that make sense? Isn't this supposed to be a sequel? Unless Ganon somehow reincarnates or is revived like he always is. Or someone else gets the Triforce. Or maybe this is another timeline split. Oh my god, no! Do we really need another split? Please don't say it's another split. Please just say this is a terrible, terrible decision on Nintendo's part. And they just throw out the story and then we can disregard it and say it has no place in the timeline. Please. Like I said, maybe it's not actually a Dark World. Maybe they're just calling it that because that's what it's better known as. Hopefully it's just the Sacred Realm. We just got Hyrule Historia. Please don't mess it up, please. Wayne Larkin says, hey Elu, so I've been playing the original Zelda a lot lately and noticed that once you make it out of the Lost Woods, you see these enemies that are very similar to centaurs. Do you know what they are? Do you think we'll ever see them in future installments? They are Lynels, which are like centaurs, except centaurs have the horse body and then the human body, where Lynels have like the horse body and then the human sexy man torso with the muscles and this ugly lion face. So I don't know what they're thinking there, but whatever. What's cool about them is they are very, very tough, and I think they're especially tough in A Link to the Past because you really can only defeat them with a few certain items, but they are pretty cool. When Twilight Princess came out, I was sure they would have made a return, but they didn't, which was really terrible because they should have, but I think that hopefully in the future they might return because, I don't know, I think the designs for enemies are getting pretty awful. And I think they're slacking, and they're just not tough enough. So, that's kind of a solution. Bring back an awesome enemy that we can all recognize. He's very tough, and he looks badass. I mean, really, he's got a lion face, and there'd be like fangs and stuff, and he'd have his sexy man body with his abs and stuff, which that's okay with me. But I don't like the lion face part, but whatever. And then you have a shield and a sword and the whole horse body thing, and maybe you'd fight them on horseback, which would be really cool. And hopefully they have elements from like the older games where they can still shoot beams at you, and you have to have either a certain shield to reflect it or something. Because yeah, I'm sorry, I'm really excited because I've always wanted them to come back because they're just so tough and awesome and cool, and I think the idea is great, especially for Zelda, and no other games really have it. Sorry, excited. But yeah, they should definitely come back because they're cool. Alright, Zelda fans, that is it for this week. I'm sorry I didn't have one last week. Actually, that's, kind of my fault. I just was lazy, which is terrible, but, I was too busy enjoying my little Zelda haul that I got. So, yeah, I'll share that kind of stuff with you later on. But anyway, there's some questions answered for you. I hope you send in more that are cool and such. I'm sorry I'm rambling today. I don't know. Whatever. Zelda. Awesome. So send your questions to mailbag@knightsofhyrule.org. Follow on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, Google+, which is now somehow awesomely integrated into YouTube now. I still haven't really, explored with it, but it's there. So, if you're getting tired of Facebook, which is kind of like lame anyway, try it out. Okay, fans, go play some Zelda. I'm gonna play some Zelda, and I'll see you hopefully next week or the week after. Hopefully next week, because there's a lot of Zelda news.